What do traffic lights, airport controls, and the ocean all have in common? They all work in rhythms, and their rhythms are all very important to them being able to work in their natural and normal ways, and that things go ahead without a hitch or a glitch. If you were to think of the traffic lights, obviously a individual set of traffic lights is part of a bigger system, but we can't see that when we're in the car sitting at the red light waiting to go. We're just waiting for our turn. But I was watching a video the other day, and it was talking about health, but it talked about if we were able to come up and out of that scenario and that setting and look down on the city as a whole, we would see all the interconnectedness and all the flow of the different lights and how it all works together, sometimes to create traffic or to help traffic move. But the whole point there is for flow and rhythm. The same with the airport. Rhythm there and within the airport controls allows for planes to take off and planes to land and not get in the way of each other. And this whole busy procedure and busy system should all go ahead quite perfectly when things are in rhythm. If we look at nature, it's no different. So both inside our bodies and outside of our bodies, we're all governed by natural laws and rhythms. We see the grass growing, we see the sunshine coming up every day, we see the oceans, the tide comes in and the tide goes out. So what I'm getting at is we all center in all parts of our life around a rhythm. Now, looking at the body specifically, which is what I'm going to hone in on here, when that rhythm is allowed to be expressed in its full form and its most natural form is when we see the most incredible health outcomes. So we see a body or a person who is able to live at their most optimal. Short term, that may be that they feel great, they've got good energy, they've got good vitality. Long term is that they're able to maintain that. They can effectively and efficiently maybe fight disease or keep disease at bay, or when challenges do come about, they're able to heal and recover in a normal and natural rhythm because the body has everything it needs within it to be able to heal. It's just being able to, again, express those procedures and express those states of rhythm and flow as we normally would. So whether we're looking at an airport, whether we're looking at the tide of the ocean, whether we're looking at the human body, we need to work in a rhythm with all parts of ourselves. There's no point just honing in on that one set of traffic lights when you're trying to solve a traffic issue, or honing in on the one organ in the body or one part of a body which may have experienced an injury. Again, working with the body as a whole to let it all function in sync is the best way to maximize health. So some of the rhythms that we have in our body are our circadian rhythm, and that one is quite well known. So that's our sleep and wake cycle. What's involved with that would be adrenaline and cortisol, as well as melatonin. So the different hormones that allow us to be more alert and awake, and that allow us to sink and drift into sleep. And we would probably better recognize when that rhythm is out of sync than when it is in sync, because it's horrible when you can't sleep at night or when you wake up in the morning feeling groggy. Another rhythm we've got inside us is our hormonal and our reproductive rhythms. We've also got our cardiac rhythms, our heart rates, our heartbeat. But something that some of you may not know, and I know Katie's talked about it in some of her blogs, is the ability for us to remodel our bones. So normally to remodel for general growth, but also after an injury. So we're in a constant state of breaking away old parts of the bone and building up new parts. And they work together in flow to allow that to happen. So there's many, many, many rhythms of the body. Even our emotions, we're all centered around different cycles, and we want them to be able to express themselves in the most optimal way. We find when our rhythms are able to function as close to their natural state as possible, or what they would generally be, what we were designed to be if we had no interference in the system, then our body is more intuitive. Our body is more self-led, and we're able to recover and harness our healing potential significantly better than those who live outside of rhythms. We see it all the time in chiropractic. Chiropractic is all about allowing your body to be in its most optimal and its most natural state. And we simply remove any interference that might be getting in the way of that being able to happen. We work with the spine and the nervous system because that is the body's life force, or the body's communication highway, to be able to interlink every other part of our body, to interlink all of our rhythms, so they're working together instead of as one separate or single entity. So the nerve system, if you imagine, is a communication network or a highway, and it goes all across the body. We house it within the spine to keep it protected and safe because it is so important. We literally cannot live without it. And when you remove the interference that is getting in the way of that nerve system being able to coordinate and regulate the different parts of the body, we start to see that coordination and that regulation improve. The most common thing we hear after someone's first adjustment is, oh my goodness, I slept so well. Or I couldn't believe it when I woke up in the morning that I had slept the whole night. And that's because your body is dropping into its most normal rhythm. That's where we do our best regeneration, is at night and overnight when we're asleep. And we're starting to recuperate and we're starting to build ourselves back up to what we should be. Imagine living a life like that from the get-go. So you can wake up in the morning, give it everything, and at night your body knows exactly what to do to heal and recover and be ready for the next day. That's why we always say the greatest time to start chiropractic is the day you were born. And we also know that many of our people maybe haven't been exposed to chiropractic. They haven't heard about us. They haven't had access to us until maybe in their adult life. And so what your body will do when you start getting adjusted is exactly the same. It will start to shift towards your most normal, your most natural, and your most optimal rhythms, building momentum at the beginning of your care to allow that to happen in the most effective and efficient way. The best part is we don't add anything in and we don't take anything out. So again, it's not like we're working on one particular organ or one particular part of your body that you may be experiencing dysfunction in, because what's the point of doing that if we're going to disrupt other rhythms around it? So work with the central part of the body, the central nerve system that is governing everything, to allow that to regulate you to live your best life. And what we generally hear is people say they're so much happier, they're so much healthier, and they live with much more vitality than they did before because they're in their normal rhythms.